Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Vanessa and you are watching the Exploring Oracle, or the Exploracle for short. So if you're new here, what I usually do is I show you a deck. We go through all of the cards and talk about the card stock, the guidebook, how it shuffles, and we choose a card to read at the end. So today we're taking a look at this Oracle deck called Into the Lonely Woods by Lucy Cavendish. With artwork by Dan May. So it has blessings and messages for times of solitude and isolation. This is what the sides of the box looks like. It has 45 cards and a guidebook, and it is published by Blue Angel. So venture into the lonely woods and find the greatest gift of all, your true self. Come to the lonely woods when you feel isolated, distanced from loved ones, or wish to embrace quiet, peaceful spaces within a noisy, hurried world. Here, you are welcomed with comfort, inspiration, and compassionate guidance. You will come to know an enriching solitude where you can heal, grow, and journey through your inner wilderness in a beautiful encounter with your untamed, untrammeled self. This tender, empathetic oracle includes 45 exquisite cards and a 104-page guidebook with hauntingly accurate messages and clear layouts to answer the questions of your soul. Spellbinding imagery by Dan May and wise, heartfelt text by Lucy Cavendish weave together to bring you into a deep, nourishing relationship with the divine within. With hope, kindness, and honest spirit-led guidance, this unique deck acknowledges the struggles of the human spirit and offers a pathway of light through the lonely woods of our lives. Okay, so opening it up, you have the guidebook, the cards, and let's just put this to the side. So first, let's take a look at the guidebook. So for the table of contents, you have an introduction, welcome to the woods, how to work with the cards, and then you go into the card meanings. Then about the author and about the artist. So there's a little bit of the introduction. So welcome to the woods. It also, it tells you the discovery of soul family, isolation, how isolation was used as punishment, talks about solitary witches, what to do before a reading, how to choose a spread, how to complete a reading, and journaling your readings. It also tells you how to clear and cleanse the deck, what jumping cards mean, how to read reversals, how to activate reversals, and some layouts and spreads. So it has its own version of the Celtic cross, the path, and then it goes to the card meanings. Okay, so for the card meanings, you have a small thumbnail of the image, the name of the card, and then the text. That goes all the way to the end. Then just have some information about Lucy and about Dan. And also available from Blue Angel Publishing. Okay, so let's put that to the side. Let's take a look at the cards. So Blue Angel decks are almost always, I think, are usually this size. They are a little bit bigger than the usual Oracle size cards. This is what it looks like next to a tarot. So taller and wider. It is in a lovely matte cardstock, but it does have a tendency to stick or clump. These are the backs. It is beautiful, but not reversible for those who read reversals for their Oracle decks. Okay, so let me just zoom in and let's take a closer look at these cards. Alright, so I can't zoom in too much because of the size of the cards, but yeah, these cards are not in order because I have been picking a card for the past weeks, and they are borderless. I really love the art. I do love the keywords or the phrases, but some are kind of vague, but it is enough for you to get a message. So some cards are kind of, well, not scary, but for example, if you see this card and it says death moves amongst us, there's just, it well, at least for me, there's an initial moment of panic when I got that card, when I pulled that card. It doesn't necessarily mean like someone's going to die, but I actually think that it's there so that you can also help you process if you have, let's say, feelings of grief or losing someone, and that it's a supportive message that death comes into our lives, and it's also a transformation, like with the death card in the tarot. But yeah, sometimes, I don't know, sometimes the images and the keywords, honestly, I'm a lot more triggered by text than images. So I'm not a very good intuitive reader yet, at least I don't think so. I do, or keywords and phrases matter a lot more to me, and also how guidebooks are written. So I've noticed that about myself. I do prefer decks with really good guidebooks, but it also has to be written in a way or in a style that I resonate with, because I am a lot more connected to how words are formed or used than I am with visually seeing images. I don't know if that makes sense, but that is how my brain works. I've always been a lot more responsive to words than pictures. But of course, visual imagery is very important as well to me, especially when I'm trying to learn or to get a message from a card. So artwork and text. Basically, I don't know. So yeah, make of that as you will. But yeah, so going back to this deck, the artwork, there's something about this artwork that it feels sad, to be honest. That's really just like, there's this feeling of loneliness, I guess, that I do feel when I look at these cards. But there's also that feeling of wanting to comfort the creatures on this deck, or that feeling of I think I mentioned this before, that it feels vulnerable. Like the images on this deck feels like they're in a very vulnerable space or very vulnerable time in their lives right now, and they need to be comforted. And I think that in the same way, when you go into these cards, you are looking for that same sense of comfort, and you're hoping to get that feeling of support and comfort with these cards. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I use the cards the same way for that. But there's also sometimes that when I'm already feeling down and I use this deck, it also doesn't, I don't know, sometimes it just doesn't feel like I'm getting what I want. It sometimes feels like it's making me wallow more in that emotion rather than getting comforted by it. And that's why I'm just not too sure whether this deck is for me. I probably will still use it or read with it a few more times, but again, it's really how the text is also written together with the art. For me, because I'm still very much reliant on the guidebook, especially for oracle decks, and sometimes I don't think I know this deck enough, or am bonded with this deck enough to really just go with the image or with what I'm feeling and not rely on the guidebook. And that is a totally And that is totally a me thing and a me kind of problem, which is why I probably am not enjoying this deck as much as I possibly could. But it's just not being the healing, comforting deck that I thought it would be for me. But there's no denying that the art is really very, very gentle and gives off that vibe. And maybe it's just because I don't trust myself enough to not use the guidebook, which is the problem. Okay, so I zoomed out. And as with other Blue Angel decks, which are this big, I usually shuffle at the corners because I can't get my hands around this deck normally. So that's how I riffle shuffle it, or just drop it like that. Side shuffling or overhand has to be this way. And yeah, there's the matte coating on the Blue Angel decks does have a tendency to stick together or to clump. It's not rose petal, but it kind of behaves the same way. I don't know why, but yeah. So usually, if it's that way, I just cut the deck and get a card. So we will be reading for drink from your own well, water your own garden. So let's zoom in just a little bit. I like that in the guidebook it's numbered so it's easy to find the card. And the message is, when we are alone, we learn how to not take our inspiration or sustenance from others. We do not drink from their wells. We do not feed from their cauldrons. We do not need anyone else's energy to generate our own. We can create our own energy, find the source of the spring within us, and begin to drink from that and discover who we are when we are most ourselves. Within you is the spring. Drink from it. Within you is the garden. Water it. Find the source within you. Do not seek inspiration elsewhere. This is not the time for that connection. Now is the time to follow the path until you discover the grail of the self and become your own light. Now, honestly, there's nothing wrong with that message. It's very supportive. It feels very encouraging. But for some reason, I just don't resonate with it. I mean, I totally get the message, right? But I don't know. I don't know if it's how Lucy, or if it's the way Lucy Cavendish writes that I don't connect with, because the messages are great. It's just, I have mixed emotions about this deck because I really, really wanted to like it. And I am so, it's perfectly on point for me. I mean, the theme, because I am pretty much a solitary person. I am very comfortable being by myself. I felt, or maybe I was just expecting too much from this deck. That is why I feel a little bit disappointed or a little disconnected from what the messages could be. But right now it's just not working. So sorry, I'm just shuffling the deck so that you can see how this deck would look like, let's say in a spread. I'm not pairing it with different cards, just showing you what it could look like on its own. And I don't know what I feel about this. And I don't know if it's actually Blue Angel in general, because I bought a couple of their Oracle decks before, and I don't think I've kept any. The closest that the longest that I kept was the Alice in Wonderland Oracle, but that was my first Oracle deck, and I did connect with it for a while, but eventually also rehomed it. So I don't know. I don't think it's... I don't... But yeah. I really wanted very much to love this deck. And I really feel like there's a lot to get from this deck. It's just, at this point, not connecting. So I think I'm going to be setting it aside. I don't necessarily have a purgatory drawer or purgatory shelf per se, but that's, if I did, that's probably where it's going to be at. It's just, right now I'm not called to use it. I'm not connecting with it as much as I want to, but it is a really beautiful deck. So I got this from Llewellyn. It is a mass market deck, so if you are interested in getting it, or if this calls out to you, then do check that out. This is the flip through of the Into the Lonely Woods Oracle by Lucy Cavendish and art by Dan May. If you find this video helpful, please don't forget to click on the like button and do consider subscribing to my channel. I post videos like this at least once a week, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!